Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today we're going to be doing a Kickstarter preview of the game Fire for Light, a Titan world adventure. This is a Kickstarter preview, so everything you do see is prototype material. After this gets funded, things may change, and I'm excited to show you what is in store for you once you do kickstart this. This is designed by Will Sobel and is published by none other than Greenbrier Games, the same people that have brought us Folklore: The Affliction, one of my favorite games of all time. This is a story-driven adventure game for 1 to 4 players. It goes about 60 to 90 minutes and is for ages 10 and up. I'm excited to dig into this game, and I'm excited to show you everything there is in Fire for Light. And if you're excited for this too, then I need you to meet me at the table. To begin the setup of the game, the first thing you're going to do is suit up. We're going to take our Explorer, our miniature, our Explorer mat, and our associated ability cubes, awareness cards, and our action cubes. Here are the action cubes. We got 5 of them. We're going to only start with 4 because there are 4 colored parts here of this. This is an extra action cube that you may gain along the way. We have our ability cards all down here. You'll see how those work during the playthrough. We have our miniature. Set that up right there. And this is our awareness card. Our awareness card is going to give us a value up here that shows us what order we're going to go in the turn. And this is our primary awareness card. Each character also comes with a secondary awareness card as well. Here's an example of this one. The secondary ones are used for characters that are not going to be played by humans. They're going to be our sidekicks. I'm going to be playing with Nari, and we're also be using our character Iris. Each one comes with a unique backstory that you can go ahead and check out. It's probably on the Kickstarter. If not, when you back the game, you'll be able to read about it. But for the demo purposes, I'm going to leave that part out and for you to discover on your own. Here's Iris, the same deal. We're going to grab her miniature. We're also going to get her 5 action cubes, but like we said with her, we're only going to start with 4 as well, just right up there. And at this point, we're going to grab her awareness card. Now, her awareness is different from Nari's. Nari's awareness is 8. Hers is only 3. So in the initiative track, or the awareness track, I should say, she will be going after Nari down the line. Also, everybody's action or cards they get, these action cards at the beginning of the game, are different. And every one of them does something different. You're going to see here little spots. This is where you're going to be placing your action cubes. So it's really cool how you can not only do the actions on your board, but you can use different items by equipping them and then using them. And once you use them, though, they'll be discarded. And you'll see how that works during the playthrough. Iris and Nari are both set up. Let's move on to the rest of our setup. Next, we're going to locate the 2 sidekicks that we're going to use. Like I said, there's a 4-player game, but you don't have to play 4 players. You can play solo or up to 4. And we're going to place these out in initiative order just like this. Notice these 2 are 3. I believe I'm able to pick which person I want to go in at what time. So this is the order our characters will be taking their actions. If you notice, their actions are all located on their card when they're their sidekick, and the actual adventurers we're using do have all those neat action cards, and they have their own action board. Also, you'll place down cubes equal to the number of players. If you're playing with a solo player, all the sidekicks are going to gain 3 cubes. Since we're playing with 2 players, each of the sidekicks are going to gain 2 cubes. In a 3-player game, the only other sidekick will gain 3 cubes, and of course at 4 players there are no sidekicks, so everybody's going to get their own set of action cubes. When it's your turn, you'll be able to use your cubes to not only do things on your action bar and your character, but you can also do them on these as well. So it gives you a lot of variety as to what actions you want to be able to perform, and you're not burdened by not being able to perform some of the actions that some of these characters are also really good at. The other way this awareness system functions is being able to drop in and out of this game. This is a campaign game, but if somebody can't make it to the game, that person could be taken over by one of the sidekicks for that game and then come back out and be able to be used as a player later on in the campaign if they wish to. So it's neat how you can be able to drop people in and out relatively easy, but just using one of these sidekick cards. Above our awareness board, we have our campfire board. This is going to have our blueprints up here. As you can see, you can have up to 4 blueprints out at any time. If you're going to place one and you can't place it, you can choose to discard one after you see what the blueprint is that comes out. You also have a dial here that shows either sun or night. This is going to be determining different parts of the adventure, what's going to happen. On top of that, there's numbers in here that are going to affect us during the environment phase of the game. You'll see how that works during the playthrough. This is our spirit track up here. If this ever reaches 0, that's one of the lost conditions. Not good, not not going to happen, I hope. We also are able to make a campfire if we're able to use one wood. In this game, we're able to gain resources, which are located over here, and then use them for different actions, such as making a campfire or potentially crafting some of the items that we find in this deck. Once we make our campfire, we're given a lot of different options to do. If you notice, though, there's 3 of them, and they all have these little arrows going down. You have to perform the action above it, or I should say at least place a cube there. You don't have to perform the action if you don't want to, in order to take advantage of the one underneath. So for example, say we wanted this rest action. I know we could just do it over here, but say we wanted to craft and then rest. This would be the track we might want to go down. Of course, if we ever wanted to ready one of our characters, this one isn't going to help us. And notice there's one over here as well. But since maybe we want to craft and rest, this would be the track to go down as opposed to something over here. And you might see how that works during the playthrough. And that's all there is for the setup for the game. Our spirit track, of course, will be told to us by the campaign what we should set that at before we start our adventure. A lot of the times, this track will be carried over from a previous mission. So you want to be careful what you're doing with this track, along with some of the items and things you gain. Those also may carry over as well, according to the rules of our specific scenarios. Catch a falling star. As you can see, it's in black and white. I had to print this off. The book will normally be in color, so just be prepared for that. This does tell us a little bit about what's going on. We have Act 1. Our prerequisites are none. This will be about 45 minutes according to the playtime, and it is our prologue chapter that is in the day, and we're going to be playing an easy game, hopefully. We'll see how it goes. The village of Summer's End is hidden by the mighty frozen fingers, a series of mountains to the north, dangerously unreachable through the permafrost canyon. Snow covers the world for as far as the eye can see. To the east, a mighty forest disappears into the base of the fingers. The villagers love that winter has hidden them from the bandits and other threats of the world. But in dire times, those bandits inch ever closer. So the village elders begin to ration out food and water to prepare for the coming months. Elder Moth declares a state of emergency and drafts new explorers from the village to help gather supplies. As if to mark this occasion that you've been drafted, a strange green streak tears through the morning sky. In the dimly lit council chambers, you gather with the elders to hear your first orders. Our coffers aren't barren, not yet, but male winter will all last us quite a few months, and we are far from prepared to survive it. A scowl marches across Elder Wasp's face. You have volunteered. The weather and the terrain are dangerous, and the strange denizens and bandits more so. But the village has never been so desperate. Elder Wasp looks at his fellow elders. This is what we've got? Nari, our other daughter, a washed-up smith's apprentice and no hope to his future. And Elder Wasp looks at the moss-covered robot standing in the chamber. This monstrosity? Nari smiles up at him. Thank you, Elder Wasp. I'll do my best not to let you or the Lady of the Fire down. Then her eyes flick around the room and she sees her sister scowling next to her. Iris scowls. I've delayed my city guard training to help the village in another way. She pauses, looks at her sisters, then adds, and of course, to make sure my sister remains safe in the wastes. Jasper, the blacksmith's apprentice, pulls his fist tight together and puts out in triumph. I am eager to learn new skills that will help with my... Jasper, Elder Wasp sighs. After 7 years of apprenticeship, it's about time you extend your usefulness, Elder Wasp stings. Jasper lowers his eyes to the ground with a visible exhale. My Maeve is strict, and it is my time to offer the council to help. I'll never give up my dream of building something that will help each of my fellow... Yes, yes, Elder Wasp waves him off. That's well and good. And your companion? Elder Moth says. Oomph. The robot thrusts his fist into the air, mimicking his companion Jasper. Elder Wasp crosses his arms across his chest and leans back with a displeased look on his face. I'm still not sure why we let this monstrosity tin walk around the village. He's made of iron. He doesn't require any food or anything to maintain, but he can still help by... Jasper grins. Explorers! A woman in elder robes. Elder Moth enters the chamber. A shooting star has been sighted. I know this is only your first day, but you must locate it. Nari and Iris beam, bounce forward on their heels to see their mother. Elder Moss smiles at them in return. No words need to pass through to tell them how proud she is of her children. Elder Moss grins from ear to ear. Yes, find this star and bring it to the statue of the Lady of Fire to offer it up as a blessing, a tribute so that she may restore our magic and keep the village warm through the mill winter. An offering? Elder Moss raises an eyebrow. No, we mustn't bring the star back to the smith so that he can fashion it to weapons or fuel. It would be a wonder to smelt it. Elder Moss holds his hand to cut off Jasper and considers the star tearing through the sky. A fallen star would be excellent tribute to the Penny Ogren, the Lady of Fire, to help us through these hard times. Perhaps a sacrifice to her will fill our coffers, and she will continue to provide the magic to keep our village warm and safe. Elder Moss stands from her chair and surveys her peers. That could also provide enough materials for tools and protection from the cold. It will keep us warm and help gather even more resources or outfit our guards with weapons and armor to keep the bandits at bay. We all know they've been gathering closer and closer to the village. No, we should use this to prepare this and survive Mall Winter. Your group looks between the two, visibly confused. The elders bicker and come to no conclusion. Go! Elder Moss says. Yeah, find that star. We're wasting daylight. If you find it, I suppose it'll be your call. Elder Moss winks at Nari. Yes, as explorers, you must make these decisions on your own. At this point, we're going to set the map up. We're going to use exactly what it says right here. We've got Forest Tile 1, 3, and 4. We'll place our explorers at the bottom region of Forest 1, spawn a grub tusk and a lair at Forest 01, bandit scouts and a lair at 3 and 4, and we're going to put our spear track at 5 since there are 2 players. We're playing with 2 players, so we're going to be using the 5 instead of the 7 or the 3. We'll place the strange meteorite green storybook marker at the bottom left region of Forest 4. We have our 3 tiles for the adventure that was told to us by our storybook. We have Forest 4, 1, and 3 respectively. Some of the things you see out here is we have our lairs, which are located with these little skull icons here. There's different types of resources, stone and wood, that we can gather during these. There's a couple story moments out here, A3 and A4, on the tiles themselves. We'll be placing our green story marker right down there according to the rules. Also, we see some of these snowflake icons. Those are going to affect us during the environment phase. You don't want to end your turn on these because it's going to make it more deadly to you during our exposure step of the game. We'll see how that works. We're supposed to place out a couple of our enemies. We have a grub tusk right here. We're going to place him down. He's going to have an awareness of 1 and a defense of 4. One of the cool things about this game is that if you do not meet the defense, you don't just put down damage tokens or anything. It's just a 1 or none. There's no you don't have to worry about anything, adding anything or doing anything. If you don't get to that number, then you don't get to that number, and that's just the deal. So we have 2 of these bandit scouts. They're placed down here in these 2 layers, and our grub tusk above us. Lastly, for our board setup, we'll place our 2 characters right down here at the start of our adventure. You're going to notice this red line moving across this particular tile here. That means the enemies and us cannot cross this line. There's no way we can make it across this line. We have to go around it in order to get to it. So we can't just go straight on over here. We have to actually make it around and over to this story marker, and probably have to deal with these bandits along the way. The last thing we have to do for our setup is place our awareness cards down. We'll put our grub tusk there. He's going to be after Iris, which is going to probably help us out. Our bandit scout, however, is an 8. I'm going to place him here. In a tie, I'm not exactly sure if the enemies or our adventurers are going to go first. I'm going to say our adventurers are super cool and going to go first. If I'm wrong about that, I will put a note in the video right here so you'll know that I was wrong about that. But if there's no note, I was right about that. How about that? I might be right. I have a 50-50 chance, I guess you could say. It's now time to begin our game. We are going to be playing this over a series of rounds, and each round will consist of 2 different phases. There's the explore phase, and then there's the environment phase. So for the explore phase, we're just going to start at the top of the awareness track, use that character, and then move on down the track as we go. Once we get to the end of the track, that is when we're going to move to our environment phase. So let's take a look at the awareness track. We do see that Nari is first, so she'll be taking all her actions. Then we have our bandit scout. Let's quickly go over his card so we kind of have prepared for what we're going to need to do here potentially. If we look at his card, we're going to start at the top and move down. You're going to perform all the actions unless it tells you not to. Stab, deal 1 damage to an explorer in my region. So I probably don't want to end end there unless I'm planning to take him out. Move 2 regions toward the nearest explorer, and when you move, the number here is equal to a die roll. You'll see how that works, and any explorer in my region becomes startled. So if I once they move and end there, we're going to become startled. What is startled? That's a great question. If you notice, we have our Nari card here, and our primary card is aware. If we're ever startled, we are going to flip the card, and now my awareness has gone down. It's one of the detriments to the game. If we were startled, that would mean we automatically would move behind this guy, even if we were tied, as you can see here. So we don't want to get startled. I want to always take my turn before anybody else here. And if Iris ever gets startled, she'll drop down to a 2, so she'll still be ahead of the Grub Tusk, which would be pretty good. And our sidekicks can also get startled as well. If we are startled and we need to startle again, at that point we'll have to startle one of our other characters. This is the only character that's a little bit different. Doesn't startle, it's either functioned or it's broken. It's the same as being startled, though, just a different wording because it's not actually a human, it's a construct of some kind. Looking at Nari's board, she has 4 abilities that are innate to her, and of course she could do some of the sidekicks. The move action there is going to allow her to move to any adjacent region. Our gather action allows you to gain resources equal to the number you have there. Then we have our assist action. Assist is interesting because it readies an ally and gives them a bonus action cube. Remember that extra cube I took off our characters? We're able to get a hold of that. And when you are able to ready an ally, that's when they're going to become from its startled side back to the aware side. So that's a pretty awesome thing to have. And Explore allows you to check out what is in your region. If you're in a story moment, you'll read the story moment from the book. If not, you'll look at a blueprint card and that'll give you some ideas of what you could craft. So there's a lot of cool things you can do. Since we're in a region that doesn't have a story moment, at this point I am going to explore with one of my actions. So at this point I will draw the top card from my blueprint deck. We have found a Spear of the Guard. This is pretty cool. Right down here it tells you how to craft it. So I'm going to need a stone and a wood. That's 2 resources. Activate. Enemies in your region get -2 to their armor, and this has 2 attack. And you can play multiple cubes on top of this. And you'll see how that works when I move to Iris. Iris, or even I could check it out with this guy right here. He's got 2 attack right here. So say Nari decided to go ahead and attack and she had this spear. She could then place a cube here to activate the enemies in your region, get 2 negative, and I can get 2 more dice because this is all technically one type of attack action, which is really cool how they do that. So I'd be able to roll 4 dice and they get -2. Ah, we really got to get this King Spear. That sounds really, really good. Sadly, the only stone on this map is in the wrong direction, but that's okay. I'm going to use a move 2 on Nari's action board to be able to move her 1, 2 to right here, so where that stone is. Then she's going to use another cube to gather 2, so she's going to be able to grab 2 of those stone resources and place them down on her mat. I have 1 more action cube left. I think we're going to try to move again. Sadly, the only other move we have out here on one of our sidekick cards is a move 2, so we're going to be wasting 1 move, but that's okay. I'm going to move into the area with this Grub Tusk right there. We've come to the end of Nari's turn, so we'll move right into our next sidekick's turn. Playing a 2-player game, each of these sidekicks have 2 cubes. They're just going to split the cubes up and give them to the other explorers. So now these explorers will have these cubes to be able to use. Now Nari's already gone, so she doesn't have a chance of using these cubes, but there is a mechanic that allows us to do that, which is really cool. But we're going to be going to Iris this turn right now. She has 6 cubes that she's going to be able to do whatever she wants with. It's going to be pretty sweet. We're going to start with, I think we're going to start by using Whack It. This is going to be an ability card we're going to use that allows us to move 2, and then if we want to, we can place another one where our attack is equal to my awareness. Now our awareness is only 3, but that's okay. We're going to use our 2 orange cubes to move 2 according to our card here, and then the other one we're going to do is going to be that attack action as well. So we've used these 2 cubes. Let's move and hit something. As this card says, we're going to whack it. She'll move 1, 2 to right there, and then we're going to try to whack it. That's going to be our plan. But before we do, we can add another cube here. Since this is an attack, we can stack that attack, and we're going to gain a total of 6 dice to try to take out that Grub Tusk. We'll take our 6 dice, which are comprised of many different things. We have these swords, which are going to be our successes. Then we have these symbols as well. These are not successes. These are inspiration type symbols that we at some point on some of our weapons or even abilities, we'll get the ability to change these into potential successes or activate other abilities on weapons we have. Of course, we don't have any of those at the start of the game. We're going to roll all 6 of these, and we have to try to take out this Grub Tusk here. Remember, this Grub Tusk has 4 defense. We have to roll 4 or better in order to take him out. We've got an absolutely astronomical amount of successes, which are enough to take him out. We got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I gotta take out like 2.5 of these guys. We were able to defeat this Grub Tusk, which is pretty cool. The Grub Tusk AI, though, is a little bit different from our scouts. It states here that deal damage equal to my rage to an explorer in my region. So if we were in the same square as this, which is called the region, we would take damage to his charge. Then it says here, if in a region with an explorer, I gain 1 rage token, and then I waddle, which is where I move 1 region toward the nearest explorer. So you don't want to be anywhere near this guy if you're not planning to take him out. He does get these rage tokens, which are these tokens right here. So the more rage tokens he has, of course, the more damage he would do to us, which would be absolutely sad, sad, sad. When an explorer takes damage, they have to remove cards from their inventory equal to the amount of defense, and we'll see how that goes. Well, hopefully we don't. Hopefully we don't ever get hit. That'd be fantastic. We do have a reward right here. We're going to gain 1 leather, which is not what we're looking for. We're looking for stones and wood in order to make that spear, but that's okay. Who knows? We might be able to use this in the future. But good news, we were able to defeat the Grub Tusk. Having whacked it really good, we'll remove our standee from the board. This means that now we are actually in the same spot together. Remember, Nari still has 2 action cubes that she hasn't used yet that she gained from our sidekicks. Being in the same place now, our characters can perform a team action. When more than one of them is in the same region, they may activate a team action when placing an action cube. So now when Iris does another action, if she chooses to, I'm going to be able to spend 1 spirit, and then any amount of explorers in that region may also place an action cube to supplement the action. It doesn't have to be the same action. It can be a different action, which is really cool. I like this a lot. So it kind of encourages you to all stick together and explore the world together. But just remember, the explorer that initiates potentially an attack action, say you supplement and help out with giving some attack dice to this person, they're going to be the one rolling all the attacks, and if there ever is a failure, they'll be the ones taking retaliation. What retaliation is if you fail to attack something, that person would then take 1 damage from being retaliated against by one of the evil enemies. Being in this square, Iris is still going to perform an action, and Nari is going to perform a team action. Nari is going to choose to use Jasper's Gather 2 action to gain 2 wood from the location that she is on. At this point, I'm going to spend 1 of my spirit to perform an action with Nari. And Nari is going to perform her assist action here, which is going to be able to ready Iris. She's already readied. She's not worried about anything. What Nari is going to do is she's going to gain her extra action cube. So she still has 2 more actions she can perform. With the 2 wood, she's going to spend 1 of it to make a campfire. So we're going to discard that wood. At this point now, we can go down any one of these paths if we want to. On top of that, while we're at this campfire, that gives our characters the opportunity to trade freely amongst themselves any items or potential resources that we have that we can use. Iris is going to give Nari her wood that she has, and we have 1 more action we can do with Iris if we wish to. She will do an explore action, which gives us a chance to look at the next blueprint card. We found an iron ring. This looks really cool. It allows us to gather 2. It only takes 1 stone, and it gives us 2 shield. Remember when I was talking about taking damage? If you ever take damage, you have to remove shield. The number of shields equal the amount of damage you have taken that you can't get rid of. If you can't discard any shield cards, your character will become exhausted. We'll tip them over onto the side and lose spirit. Any excess damage dealt to the exhausted explorer is instead lost in spirit. Remember, when we lose all the spirit, bad things happen. So we don't want to do that. We do have an iron ring now and that spear of the guard. I think we're going to perform 1 more action. That action is going to be done with Nari. Nari is going to spend 1 more spirit to craft this spear of the guard. If you notice, when we looked at her hand and we looked at her board, she didn't have anything that does any type of attack. Now we have a weapon that we can use to attack, which will help out immensely. Oh my gosh, that's something she needed desperately. Of course, in all my excitement of moving our characters around and learning about the game, we totally skipped over doing the Bandit Scouts. The Bandit Scouts should have gone after Nari, so that's my fault. We're just going to do them really quickly right now. There is nobody in there explorer. Remember, she will be here though before we start this. So deal 1 damage to any explorer in a region. That's not going to happen. So instead they're going to move 2 regions toward the nearest explorer. So they're going to roll 2 dice and see how far they're able to get, equal to the number of swords that they get. We'll start with this character here. She got a total of 4, so it's going to go 1, 2. It would end in her square. Then we've got this one here. It's going to move 4, 1, 2, 3 right there. So they are both in her square. The only thing that's going to do is it's going to startle her, because if we look at the rest of here, it says move 2 regions toward the nearest explorer, then any explorer in my region becomes startled. So that would mean that she would become startled. We will take her card, flip it over. At this point, we would continue with her actions. There isn't any problem about walking away from enemies in your square. They don't take like free hits or attacks against you. At least these don't have that on their card. Some may in the future. I don't know. We'll see how this game all plays out in the game. At one point now, Nari did use her assist action, which would then ready her. So she will be back to full. So no harm, no foul here in the way that the game would have played out. But just beware, I did miss their steps. They should have gone before Iris even moved. Not only that, they should have gone even before our 2 sidekicks gave up their cubes. Now that all of our characters and enemies have performed their action, we're going to move to the environment step. This is where the environment takes a chance to hurt us, of course. It's not going to damage the enemies, sadly. I wish it would, but it's not going to. We're the ones that are going to be in a problem with the environment. We're going to have to take an exposure. So we're going to have to try to stay warm. Each player is going to roll a number of dice determined by the light dial value. Ours right now is at 1, so we're only going to be rolling 1 die. Also, we'd be adding a die for every frost icon that is on the board that we're standing on in a region with our characters. There aren't any, so we're okay. Also, we have the ability to try to stay warm. If you notice, we have made a campfire. That means that we're able to re-roll 1 die for all the warmth that we have. You get 1 for, of course, that campfire. Also, you get 1 warmth for every character that you're with in your region. So since they're both together, we're going to be able to re-roll the die twice, which is really going to help, because if we roll and aren't able to get blanks on their dice, we could potentially take some bad damage. We'll start with Nari. She'll roll it up. She got a blank, so that's fantastic. She's going to suffer no exposure. We'll move to Iris's turn. Iris is going to roll up. She has 1 success, and she has more successes now than remaining action cubes. So sometimes it is beneficial to keep those action cubes because you don't want to worry about exposure. If you ever have more successes than you have remaining action cubes, you're going to have to exile one of your action cubes, meaning you'll be performing less actions each turn the more and more colder you get. She does have 2 warmth, so we're going to re-roll this a couple times. We got another 3. That's bad news. I'll roll the last one. Oh, yeah, that was perfect. Look at that. We got another blank. Oh, our guys got lucky this time. We don't have to worry about any exposure. So remember, campfire is good. Keeping your action cubes might be a benefit too, because you're going to be able to absorb more of this exposure. But we got pretty lucky. Both of our characters took none. At this point, we would go to the extinguish step. We're going to remove our campfire. Our campfire goes out at the end of the turn, and we'll go to our excise step. The final thing we'll do before moving on is I will spin this to 2. That's going to make it even harder now to survive the chilling winter. I'm going to be rolling 2 dice now in this wilderness. During the excise step, we would be able to move up the awareness track equal to the amount of extra action tokens we had remaining. So say Iris had 2 left, she'd be able to jump in front of Jasper, or even him if you wanted to. And if this person had more action cubes, she would stay up in front. But say he was startled down at 6 and she had extra action cubes, she would jump again above those bandit scouts. But now she has a spear. I'm pretty excited that she can go before those bandit scouts. Let's go take them down. But before we do, we have to remove any equipped cards. They're going to go into our discard pile, and we're going to gain back all of the action cubes that we have, and we'll be returning any extra access cubes we have to our sidekicks back to where they are, and Nari, of course, will gain her 4 action cubes back as well. Since Nari is first initiative order, she will go first. One thing I need to do is I need to spend the resources, of course, to make my spear, so we're going to get rid of those. We only have a stone left, which means we could make that iron ring if we want to, and since we don't have a campfire, I can't trade this away. So I think that might be something we might want to do. I'm going to use my first action cube to put it onto Jasper. Jasper has his craft action here, so I'm going to take advantage of that action. Now, of course, since I've placed my cube there, Iris will not be able to put her cube there. We're going to spend this stone to get ourselves an iron ring. So she's really built up here. I need to start getting some stuff for Iris now in the future, because she has 3 defense she can use at this point, and Iris sadly has none. With the 3 actions she has left, the first one she's going to do is a move 2. She'll move 1, 2 right down here where the bad guys are, these bandits. Let's see if she can take them out. She's got that Spear of the Guard, remember. So I'm going to use the last 2 cubes to activate this to make my enemies in my region get -2. Also, I'm going to attack with this for 2. So I'm going to be rolling 2 dice, and they're only going to have, let's look at their defense here. Instead of a 5, it's only a 3 at this point. We have 2 dice to roll. We need to get a 3 or better against that bandit. Well, I dropped. Well, I got my 3 and I already threw 1 out of the dice tray. We got a total of 5. That's pretty awesome. We didn't even need this activate. But of course, remember, the way this works is I would have to use this activate in order to get to this attack 2. I can't just skip that action right there. I could choose not to activate it, but I don't see why I would, because it's so good for me. We were able to take out that first bandit. Now, if you notice here, the rewards on the bandit is I'm going to gain spirit. So our spirit is now up to 4. Good news, bad news. Good news, I took out one of these bandits. Bad news, there's still one there. And guess what? It's their turn. So if you look here on the card, deal 1 damage to an explorer in my region. So I'm going to have to remove shield equal to the amount of damage I'm taking. I'm taking 1. So I'm actually going to discard the Spear of the Guard. I know, I just got it, but that's okay. I have this other ring here. I know it means I'm out of weapons, but that's okay. This ring is going to be awesome. It's going to keep me super protected, I hope. That's the end of the first part of the card. If we continue on down the card here, it says move 2 regions toward the nearest explorer. That's not going to happen. It's already in the square. And then the explorer in my region becomes startled. So I'm going to have to turn Nari from 8 to 6, meaning those are going to go ahead of us now when it comes to the next awareness step in the game. Moving to our sidekicks, we're each just going to gain 1 of these cubes, and then it's going to be Iris's turn. Iris, I think, is going to start by using his Gather 2. I really like the way those campfire work, so she's going to gain 2 wood from the location she's in. Then we're going to use the move 2 from there to move down next to the bandit. Then we're going to attack the bandit with an attack of 3. And let's make sure this person is super dead, and we're going to gain some extra 2 attack right there. So we'll be rolling a total of 5 dice. 5 dice, looking for at least 5 hits here. We got a mountain of them. So we were able to defeat that person. Our spirit is now at 5, which is perfect. And our bandits are all off the board. At this point, we're right back where we started. And we have taken pretty much all the enemies off the board. That's awesome. I'm going to use my next action for Iris. Iris is going to make a campfire. So we'll discard 1 of our wood. And that's going to be all we're going to do for this turn. That way some of my characters can keep some of their cubes. Nari has kept 2 of hers, and Iris has 1 of hers. Moving over to the exposure step now, I'm going to be rolling 2 dice according to our dial. We'll start with Nari. Nari's going to roll up 2 dice, see what she gets. She gets a total of, well, 4. That's terrible. We do have 2 warmth, 1 from the campfire and 1 because of our other comrade with us. Now we have a total of 2. I'm okay with that. I'm going to stop right there because I have 2 action cubes, so I did not exceed my number, so I'm not going to have to exile, I should say, any of my cubes. We'll move over to Iris. Iris is going to roll 2 dice as well. She got a blank and a 2. That 2 is no good because she only has 1 remaining action cube. So we're going to re-roll this with our warmth and see how we do. We got a blank. That's perfect. Oh, this is awesome. So we don't have to worry about any of the exposure in this world. I've extinguished our campfire. We're going to turn our dial to 3. We're rolling 3 dice now. Oof, that's getting tough. Nari had 2 extra action cubes, so her right now would be 8. Iris had 1, so hers is 4. So she is going to go above Jasper at this point because she had that extra action cube. Looking at the board, there's 2 story moments, and then we have the green trigger here. I don't want to do both of these because I want to leave some of it for you to explore on your own. Again, I'm not sure if this would technically be the first mission in the campaign or if this is something they specifically used for the Kickstarter here. I'm going to start, of course, with Nari. Nari's going to do a move 2. She's going to move 1, 2 to right here. And that way she can maybe check this out with an explore action, which she has on her board. So she's going to explore it, and we're going to check out story moment A03. Here's A3 in our storybook. A statue of Pani Orgren, the Lady of Fire, looms over the freezing plains. Snow dusts her shoulders. and the gusts of wind cause the flakes to dance around her. Snow melts off the statue as you near. Heat emanates from the rocky surface, a nice respite from the cold. Around the statue's base are offerings, small chips of wood with names or wishes scrawled on the bark. Some of these gifts are more illustrious, handwritten poems on ribbon tied to her feet, an ornate drawing on thin hide. As you pass by, you whisper a small prayer to the lady to bless your first outing and give you the tools necessary to make powerful choices. Gusts of wind carry snow, and almost as if in response, you hear a whisper, the whisper of confidence and power. The lady shows you her favor. If you're Nari, you may place a campfire in any adjacent region, and I gain a bonus action. Oh, that's going to be awesome. And it is Nari that was able to check this out. I get to place a campfire in any region next to me. That's amazing. And I get an extra action cube. That was perfect. With her final 2 action cubes, she's going to do this. I'm going to move an ally 1 space. Then I'm also going to have any explorer ready. I'm going to choose myself. Nari is going to go back to 8. And I'm going to move Iris 1 space. Iris cannot move through that red space there, so she's going to come down to where that campfire is. At this point, I'm going to end my turn with Nari right now, and I'm going to hand over 2 cubes to her and 2 cubes to Iris. Iris is going to go next. Iris is going to do a move 2 and go right here using our sidekick. Then I'll use a move 1 for myself. And again, I'm going to use my sidekick to explore. We'll move 1 right here, and then we will explore this green marker. Let's check out what happens. The green storybook token states right here, buried under several feet of snow, steam rises from the fist-sized chunk of translucent green stone. A trail of melted snow lies in its wake, deeper and deeper as it skidded across the ground. For the first time in your life, you see the dirt beneath the snow. Caked brown mud was frozen under years of winter. You expect the stone to be hot, but the snow has cooled it off quite a bit already. You pick it up and throw it in your bag, ready to return. In the distance, you hear crunching footsteps and shouts. The bandits must have been looking for the fallen star as well. Then you remember Elder Moss's instruction. You must choose. You'd better hurry. Elder Wasp wanted you to bring the star back to the village to use as materials to defend against the bandits. Elder Moth wanted you to bring the star to the statue of Pani Ogerin as a sacrifice to her blessing over the village. You have found the star, and at this point I'm going to spawn a bandit scout in each lair on Forest 3 and 4. Now we also must choose who delivered the star. We are going to place a red storybook marker in region A03 with the statue. If you want to side with Elder Wasp and make the star sacrifice, explore the red storybook marker. Place a blue storybook marker on the bottom region of Forest 01 if you want to side with Elder Moth and return to the village to use your star as materials to survive. Explore the blue storybook marker. We'll have to see which one we decide to do. As our storybook has said, I have spawned a bandit both in the lairs on Forest 3 and on Forest 4. Now we have to decide what we want to do. Of course, we could go to the statue of Pani Oregon here, and that would mean that we have sided with the Elder Wasp. Of course, we could always bring it back, which is our blue one, and then we'd be siding with the Elder Moth. So even in the first mission, we already have a branching story that could potentially have consequences down the line, depending on what we want to do. Sadly, the consequences I have here is I'm really out of move. I don't have much more movement I could do. I could do move 1, and I think I will do that mainly because I am standing on a cold space, and I don't want to be on a cold space. So I am going to use one of our action cubes to move 1 space with Iris. She's going to move just up here towards, I guess, this A4, where I could explore right now if I wanted to, but I need to keep these extra action cubes. Remember, I'm going to be rolling 3 dice, and neither of our people are on campfires because I decided to put it here. Wasn't exactly the smartest plan of the planet. I was thinking maybe ending over here, but then I guess it didn't work out that way. That's okay. That's the end of this turn. We'll move into our next step, which is going to be our environment phase. With our sundial being at 3, I'll be rolling 3 dice, and I don't have any warmth according to any of our characters. We're not in the same place as each other, and we're not at a campfire, so we're at the mercy of these 3 dice. We'll start with Nari. She's going to roll up 3 dice, and she got a whopping 4. I only have 2 extra action cubes, so at this point now, or she has 3 action cubes, I'm sorry, but I still didn't pass. I needed 4. I'm going to have to exile this cube, meaning I'm not going to get that for the rest of this mission. I most likely will get it back at the beginning of the next mission, but we'll roll up for Iris now, and I think she's in a world of hurt here because she doesn't have very many either. She only has 2, so I am going to have to exile one of her cubes as well. We really have to get to these story moments and figure out what happens and hopefully end this mission before we freeze to death. We are going to place our bandits back in the row here, and we're going to gather up all our cubes, set our dial to 4 now. We're going to be going to 4. Oh my gosh, 4 is going to be bad news. I'm going to give back all our cubes to these people. I'm going to keep my cubes, and we are going to we'll keep her right where she is. That's totally fine. And it's going to be Nari's turn first. She had a ton of extra cubes, meaning her awareness is something up to 11. She still had some extra ones too. She had 2. Oh, she only had 1 because she had to exile 1. So she's going to stay at 4. She'll be right there, totally fine. Let's see what we can do with Nari. One thing we do have to do is I need to discard this. We equipped it and used it last turn. And remember, we only have 3 action cubes. You can get these cards back. If you use a rest action, you're able to pull these back into your hand from the discard pile. So there is ways to get these back. Most of the time that's done at the campfire. There might be some abilities that characters have that can get these back as well. But just remember that there is ways to get it back. They're not just gone forever. That was one of the reasons I wasn't too worried about losing that spear. If I really needed it back, I could have done something at a campfire to get it back. Oddly enough, I'm standing right on this red story marker. So we could go ahead and end the game right here. Of course, we would be siding with Wasp. Or I could go back and side with Moth. Tough choice. I'm going to go ahead and move to, and we're going to explore over here. Just 1, 2, and I'm going to do the blue one. And we're going to see what happens to us. I could have chose either one of these, but I think the blue would be kind of cool. Either way, and if I needed to get this person there, it wouldn't have been tough either. She has enough action cubes to use a move 2 and then a move 1 up to there and be able to explore all with her 3 action cubes. The only thing these would have done is startle, so I'm not sure if the person actually has the star and needs to get there, or if just any one of us needs to get to one of these places and decide which way we want to go. Of course, this is a tutorial mission, so a lot of this it's very easy to get through this, and it is categorized as an easy play. And this is a good way to at least understand the mechanics of how this game works and see how this world will start unfolding around you. Let's go and read story moment, blue story moment, and see what happens to our characters in the resolution of this adventure. Having come to the blue storybook marker, it states, with the star in your bag, you hustle back toward the gates of Summer's End. So I'm guessing most likely you would have to come here with the person that has the star, but that's okay. The star provides some warmth along the way, and you hope that not only will this be enough to outfit more guards, but that you will earn some goodwill with grumpy Elder Wasp. My, Elder Wasp rubs his hands together in delight. This is quite the beauty, though we'll have to figure out how to smelt such a thing. It will be quite simple, Jasper points out. I have a process. We will give it to your maven, Volkner. He will figure it out, Wasp snaps. Oop. The robot tilts his head to the side. I don't speak with robots, Wasp says, and then turns and abruptly leaves. Check the Return to Star box in the prologue summary page, then read Homecoming on page 10. So as you can see here, there's a whole storybook that kind of goes with this. You're going to be checking off different things, and of course, since we brought it back here and not to the, the temple, or no, the statue, that means that different outcomes are going to affect the way our story progresses in the future. So this is really cool. I like the way that stories do this. So there are going to be a lot of replay value because, hey, if we brought that to the statue, who knows? Something totally different might happen in maybe even 3 adventures from now, or even in the next one. Who knows? Homecoming. The elders crowd around a crescent-shaped table that fits all 7 of them. In the center, Elder Moth smiles at you. You have had quite the first day of exploring, she folds her fingers together. I'm proud of the agency you've showed. Making a choice is never easy. I only pray it was the right choice. We did what we thought was right for the village, Nari replies. That's the goal of the explorers, right? We dedicated our lives to bringing in resources such for the villagers. Just like our guards, Iris nods towards Kayla, a city guard by the hall door. They dedicate their lives to protecting us from bandits. Kayla's attention is briefly distracted by the mention, and her focus makes Iris's heart melt. And the smith takes the resource to make living easier for our village, or protection from the cold, our weapons and repairs for the guards. Next to her, Elder Wasp gestures with his hand. On with it. We haven't got all night. We still need to make our prayer before it gets too cold. Now show us what you've brought so that we may record it and put it in the coffers to ration to the villagers. Here's the ending part, which is going to tell us everything we need to be doing. It says, congratulations on finishing the prologue of Fire of Light. During this portion of the work you did during the game will be recorded and might be used as rewards or punishments and affect future games, just like I was talking about earlier. While reading the endings to each chapter, you'll be asked to read some small passages to resolve your story and record your progress on the chapter summary page that you can find each summary page at the end of associated chapter. At this point, we'll remove any remaining enemies from the map and place them back in the box. So we are kind of just cleaning up everything. Read each bullet point below from top to bottom. Read the associated sections, do what it says, and then read the next in the list. You will need to have the chapter summary page handy when filling it out. Now, I don't have that because this is just a prototype, but if continuing forward, you'd be writing down all the things it tells you here. First, we're going to total up the number of resources and item cards that the team has, then write the value in the village resource box on the prologue summary page. If you marked the return to star box, add 2 to the total. If you write 4, 6, or 8 or more, then read the gatherer on page 8. Otherwise, read elder on page 8. Write your spirit in the spirit box on the chapter summary page. So that most likely will carry over into the next adventure that we do. Finally, return all the components to the box. In future chapters, you may need to refer to the information written on the prologue summary page. It serves as a reflection of how well you've done in the choices you've made along the way. Now that you've finished the prologue, open box 1 and read it. So this is pretty cool that you're going to have a lot of hidden information that you're not going to know about until as you continue through the story. This is the tile standard. It represents the different elevations you come across in the wastes of the world. Some tiles will be placed on tile stands during setup. This is what is going to be found in box 1 is what they're referencing. I don't have a box 1, so I don't have a tile stand. The way some of the game does give elevation to the game, which is really cool. And the way that works is it takes extra movement to go up and down this, and even sometimes monsters can fall off of this and actually get stumbled and take some damage or potentially lose some of their abilities of some kind. It's a pretty cool system. So you actually have multiple levels sometimes on some of these maps as we continue through the game. The Gatherer states, a new treasure trove. Elder Moth gazes upon all the new wonders. Jasper, we will have your maven work on these immediately. She sighs in relief. What a wonderful day's work. Then she stares past them, calculating in her mind. Not enough, but a great start. Yes, thank you for doing your jobs, explorers, Elder Wasp says. Rest up, because your job is not done yet. Your team must go out every day to look for more. But if you keep this up, we'll be in good shape. So we're going to check the Gatherer box on the prologue summary page. So this will probably give us an advantage somewhere down the line. And there you have it. That's the Kickstarter preview of Fire for Light. This game is something I'm really excited for. I'm going to be instantly backing this one. I'm a big sucker for great adventure games. And not only that, it has a fantastic story. And you can even fail forward in the story, which is really cool. I think that's a great plus. It is not a table hog, as you can see. It fits really easily on top of my table. Of course, as the game progresses and get more of these tiles out, it may expand a little bit more than that. But just having a few player boards out here, a neat small campfire area, and of course a compact little area there, this is super good and be able to fit on almost any table. Using Action Cube Economy is a fun and interesting experience. I'm really enjoying the fact that I can decide what I want to do with all the cubes I get, and then losing them in that environment phase is pretty interesting. I think that's a neat mechanic as well. Of course, I like the sidekicks. Being able to jump in and out is neat, and being able to just gain these extra cubes for yourself when it's their turn makes the game balance out a little bit easier. Not only that, it has a nice, quick, and easy crafting system that I'm a big fan of, and you can't ever go wrong with a campfire. I like the way that some of the stuff that you do in the game, of course, progresses into the next one. Like, we'll be saving our spirit up here, moving into the next mission. Of course, in the prototype, I only have the one mission to play. There is a second one, I think, in the book they gave me, but I don't have the components for everything that has to do with it. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough of Fire for Light. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when more playthroughs come out. Also, I hope this gave you a great understanding of what to expect when you back this on Kickstarter. And if you're interested in it, I'm going to put a link to it in the description of this video, so please check out that Kickstarter. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section, or if it's during the Kickstarter, hit up the discussion. They might be able to answer any questions there. On top of that, Greenbrier Games, of course, has a Facebook page. I'll try to link that into the description of this video as well. You can maybe get your questions answered there. This is going to be a super fun game. There's a lot of neat things going on, and I like the way that each of the characters, of course, have a little bit different actions. This one doesn't even have an attack action that you have to find a weapon for. I think that's really cool. So she's more of a person that's going to be based on, I would feel like, diplomacy and talking, because she's moving, exploring, assisting. She's kind of a role model for the characters. And of course, this is our main attacker. She's kind of the bodyguard to this person, if I remember her story right. And that's the cool thing about it. Each one of these do come with a backstory that you can read and get involved in the characters. So there you have it. That's Fire for Light. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're excited to see what comes next, then I need you to meet me at the table.